we step into the next level. Timeless game every day of the week. Could tell you how to level up your spirit and be success driven and mind strong. Get your finances right, get your grind on. You know there's power in the story. Tune in, this the valor of the true man. Success blueprint. Success blueprint.
All right, guys, back to the success blueprint. And I'm Jaime Gallardo, financial enabler. We got Mike here, the man of valor, and we are pumped. We had a great session last time talking about the Builder series and we're going to continue to build on that, right? Builder series, building on it. That's what we do here, right? So obviously, if you guys have been hearing the ideas about success, and the last time it almost sounded like a little therapy session, pointing out about how we got to get better, how do we got to grow. And that's what we're going to bring things out to you guys. And now we wanted to leave the most important part for this closing series, and that is about kingdom, right? How do we build the kingdom blueprint for the success? We're starting out with stewardship, right? And stewardship about your money, yourself, your business, your families, whatever it may be, right? We got to take care of it. So we pondered these questions a lot, and I don't think either one was totally ready for this one. So let's go with it. So, Mike, what has been entrusted to you that you're still treating like it belongs to someone else?
Great question, bro. Great question. I think when we talked about it a little bit, like when I first saw that question, I was like, geez, that's gonna hurt, all right? But the thing that I think it is sometimes I still treat my relationships with people like they belong to somebody else, right? And not in a way that I'm like, I don't care, but I think of it like, well, I care, they don't. So I just kind of let it is what it is. Like we talked the other day, right? And you heard me mention it, that I get bored with people.
Yeah.
And not in a, they're so boring, they don't have enough. No, it's just like when people aren't moving the way that I think we should be moving or the way I want to move, I'm like, okay, they're not as vested as I am. So I treat it like it's somebody else's and keep it and let it go. Even though I've been entrusted to steward, to partner, to grow, to build, to lead, to mentor in that relationship, whatever way. It might be one of those things or some of those things or all of them, right? So that right there is one thing. In some shape, form, or fashion, I still do it in our business, right? In my own business, like it's somebody else's. Not necessarily, not 100% like it's my own. So in that area too, I think I do it well. I don't do that in my marriage. It's my marriage, right? So I take it that way, which is good. I'm that way with my kids. I do great there. But definitely, I can see it in some friendships, right? In some relationships, I do it. How about you, bro? What about you?
I think that something that I'm treating that has been entrusted to me, like it's somebody else's, is my commitment to people, right? And I don't know. Can you still hear me? I cannot hear you. I don't know if you muted yourself. Yeah, there
I
you
can't.
go. That's what it was. We had a little error. No big deal. So I think that I'm treating how the people that I am mentoring, right, and the people that I care about. So what I mean by that is that I feel that their success only belongs to them. You know, their achievement only belongs to them.
Yeah.
Their growth only belongs to them. And then I get frustrated and I don't give it enough care. I don't give it enough time. Whether again, I don't think I get bored, but I definitely I get over it. I was just like, what are you doing? I don't want to work with you anymore. So I feel like leaving, right? So I definitely have not taken full ownership on that. And I think that even just talking about it, it really feels that if these people have chosen to work with me and I'm not treating their success like it's mine, then I'm never going to be able to do it. You know, so I think that would be the biggest one. And there's so much room to grow there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really good. So, I mean, as we think about, growing relationships and, stewarding these things, what's the biggest difference to you between multiplying and maintaining? And then which one are you actually doing?
Man, the thing between multiplying and maintaining is funny because right now you're not in a multiplication season, right? We're literally talking about that. So funny that it's talking about this. Holy heck. I think that to multiply, it starts with truly believing that we have to be all in, not just half-ass it, right? For lack of better words, is that because it's very easy to be like, okay, I'm doing the good work. I'm doing the good work. I'm doing the good work. And I had a thought today, just funny enough, had thought today walking into somebody's house, and I was thinking, this is a beautiful house. They've been here for a long time. Why isn't it more beautiful? Why don't they have a better place? And not that it's a bad place, but then I realized that to go from good to great, it requires an unusual amount of discomfort and
Hmm.
an unusual amount of commitment,
Yeah.
right? And unusual is not a size. The unusual could be that like the one thing, that one extra person, the one extra whatever phone call, or we can even in lifting, right? The one extra bench press, whatever. And I think that we most of us are not committed or willing to do all of that, right? Because it is difficult. And I think that that is really what I think we all need to do to multiply, really accept that there's more than what we can put out.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's it's really good. Yeah. Really good because multiplication is always, it should be the goal. Right. And not just maintaining because we want to give something. We talked about it last time, leaving it better than I found it. And the only way to do that is to multiply it. I think about not to go too biblical because we're in kingdom. We talked about the parable of the talents where he gave five to somebody and they doubled it, tripled it, and he gave them, you know what I'm saying? Let them have it. They threw it to the person and the guy that did one to maintain and keep it. Like I buried it and didn't even try to do anything with it. Right. I mean, we're not supposed to do that. That's maintaining and keeping it the same, which actually in our day and age doesn't make much sense, especially with inflation. It actually does you no good to just hold on to $100 bill for the next 10 years. It's going to be worth less, right? Than it is that $100 than it would be, you know, 10 years from now. So same thing in relationships when it comes to doing things and building and thinking about a kingdom blueprint and stewarding well. If I'm stewarding well, I want to grow this thing. From my understanding, is kingdom is the world operates in addition, but the kingdom operates in multiplication, right? So
Yeah, and I think that you just said something that it's big in the again, we're talking about kingdom, right? Not just money, not just business, not just success. For the kingdom to truly expand, we had to multiply it.
yeah.
If it would have just maintained, we would have never made it out of Israel, right? You and I would be, I don't know, Indians, right? We would believe in Indian beliefs of
Mhm.
whatever they
Yep.
believe here in America. But you had to multiply, right? And it had to, because if we would have just gone one by one, we would have never done that. So we had to multiply and believe in the multiplication to expand it. So it really shows that anything that really for it to work, in the moment that we apply anything, kingdom belief, you have to be like, okay, what am I? How am I going to multiply X? Whatever. How am I multiply that? Right. Uh, that's really really good. I think you and I clearly were talking for everybody, and we're sharing with the lessons that we have, and we're also applying. This is how we apply and grow this as well. So, Mike, for you, what does accountability look like when no one is checking on you? Because I know that, I mean, especially in the modern world, with we're mostly isolated. How does that look like for you? That
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah. Accountability it looks like for me, the first one is with my family, right? So my kids get to see me, right? And I have to make sure that I'm operating in a way that I'm telling them they're doing what I'm doing. I'm talking the talk and walking the walk, right? It's the first thing. Second one is with my wife, right? So she's able to see everything that I'm doing at all times. So I'm held accountable by her is next, right? And then because I walk with the Holy Spirit, he checks me and I just have to be able to give way to that and yield to those yearnings and that thing on the inside when I'm doing something I know I shouldn't be doing, right? It's easy to scroll through Facebook or Instagram and nothing be in your feed, and then something pops up in your feed all of a sudden, and it's easy to click on. You know what I mean? Like, did I look too long? Did I say that those little checks? And the next thing is when nobody's checking on me, I'm reaching out to tell them where I'm at, right? Like, hey man, I'm struggling. I'm doing well lately. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, just trying to be accountable. Here's where I'm at. I struggle with this. I went backwards in this area, or man, I think I'm doing well. What can I do better? Like I'm asking all of those questions all the time. So that's what it looks like. And in addition to that, just even if I'm just sharing the small things that I do with somebody, like, hey man, I'm doing this today. And like for instance, with our mentor, and here's what I'm doing today, doing this, going here, boom. And if I'm not on point, he'll, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, don't do that, do this instead, right? Go here instead, do it this way. Don't do that one. That one doesn't make sense. Lean in more here than you are. You know what I mean? Like, those are the little things that I personally like to do when nobody's saying, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
And with that, do you think it's difficult for people to be accountable on their own terms? Obviously, most people tend to prefer someone holding them accountable. But why do you think it's so difficult for people to be automatically hold themselves accountable?
It's not fun. It's really one, ego, in my opinion, gets in the way. I'm a man. I don't need nobody telling me what to do. Maybe they didn't have a father figure in their life, right? Whether it's an uncle, dad, stepfather, pastor, mentor, whatever, coach in their life. And they're like, man, I made it this far on my own. Why do I need somebody else telling me what to do? Especially, and I'm this is speaking in generalities from men, right? Not all men are like this, but for the most part. And I don't want another man telling me what I can and can't do. They not, you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like, what you in my business for? You ain't perfect. Like, well, it's not about being perfect. It's about being better, right? Perfect. It's not about perfect. It's about perfecting,
Boy,
right?
yeah,
It's about the ing, the act of making our way to it, always being perfected, always getting better, always growing. And I think when we don't have a growth mentality, I think when we, as men and us, yeah, as men, when we don't have that, then it's harder to submit to somebody else. And we don't like the word the word submit is just such a bad word amongst men and women, right? What do you
yeah,
mean to submit? You don't get the Lord over me. Submitting doesn't mean Lord over you. It means give way to somebody else because they're
yeah.
in their place. Right? They're in a position where they can actually see something that I can't, right? They're in a leadership position, they're in authority, whatever the case may be. I submit my will to them. And it's just in the kingdom, we do it. We're supposed to be doing that with Christ, right? In all things. So when it comes to leadership and why people don't do that, I mean, not leadership, accountability, when people don't do it, it's because we don't want people in our business, right?
Yeah.
I'm usually trying to hide from a place because, man, I know, well, I like this area. I like the fact that I can scroll on Instagram and look at chicks or whatever that I'm not supposed to be looking at. Nobody knows. Right. So I like that. So I'm not going to get at, well, what's the harm in that? Right. God made me a creature, a man, and I love to look at beautiful things. I'm just admiring the beauty. Yeah. But what does it do to your heart? What does it do to your soul? How are you, especially if you're married, how does it make you view your wife? Right. And if you got a daughter, would you want somebody looking at your daughter that way? Right. What if there's your daughter on the screen? Like all of the things that we don't necessarily want for somebody, like I don't want somebody looking at my sister or my mom like that. But we doing it out here looking at other people. So we don't want people in those things. And it's just an example. I'm not saying anybody has an issue with that or whatever. Right. Just one example of it, of what it could be. Or I have an extra drink every night, right? And I drink one too many, or you know what I mean? Like whatever the case may be. I don't want anybody in my business telling me that I can't drink. I work hard. I pay my bills. My family's good. Everything's good. I'm a good guy. I love Jesus, but I just have too much to drink every now and then. And it's like, those little things, the things that we don't want to give up is why we need accountability and why people don't.
The things that we don't want to give up is the things that we need accountability on. I think that if you caught that, whatever you don't want to give up is what you need accountability on. Whatever you want to or submit to, right? I think that uh, whatever you don't want to submit to is what you need accountability on. Again, it's not uh, letting somebody run your life, but putting somebody to help you check on that, right? So I think that that's solid. That's solid. Holy heck, man, that's really good. And I've been thinking a lot about the submission, right? As like, if we're really going to be Christian men, we have to depend on God. We must submit to God. And if we depend on God, we got to accept that a lot of the things that are in our life, there's a control or management to it that may be coming from a godly side, right? So if you and I want to be successful in business, the submission is to God through depending through our leaders, right? It's like we're choosing to be like, okay, I obviously can't do this. God put this expert in front of me. Here, I'm going to give you this weakness, this thing that I need improvement on. And we're submitting to God, not to the person,
Yeah.
right? Because we're not giving them the idolatry or yeah, we're not giving the idolatry and the time that like that. And case in point, right? Like if it's just looking at chicks on Instagram, how do we hold ourselves accountable to that? Is that in some, which is really uncomfortable, how do you get your wife, which is maybe not your wife, it should be your friend, a guy, it's like, hey man, I'm messing up. I'm looking at girls, even though I'm married, right? And at some point you gotta be like, how do you are strong enough to be like, hey, sweetheart, I haven't done it in 2 months. I still don't need you to hold me accountable. But after a year, maybe it's like, and then now you're working as a team. So when you're friend, and then you start compounding because I mean, obviously we start with like Alcoholics Anonymous, it starts with a person, but then
Yeah.
you want your family to hold you accountable. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, put that drink down. You don't need that,
Yeah.
right? So that's fire. That's fire.
Yeah. It's really good.
That goes a long ways.
Yeah. What are your thoughts when it comes to, so, there's a difference between, especially when in kingdom, between calling and ambition, right? What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you, balance the difference between chasing success and answering a call?
Chasing success and answering a call. If I had to say, the first thing is, if you're, and this is something that and again, I often come to you with this, but this is where how I'm shaking it out right now. If my success will lead to sin, is not answering a call.
Mm, it's
And
good.
if my success would lead to a distraction from something that is purely godly, even if it's not sinful, then I may just be, I'm not answering the call, right? Which I think that right now you and I have a calling, right? If we get distracted with whatever, Bitcoin, buying boats, whatever, we are now choosing a ungodly path and putting aside the calling that we clearly, obviously have,
Mm,
right? Um, which I think that there's how I shake it on. I'm sure there's more depth to it between picking between two good things. You
sure.
know, when, like you said, it's a good idea and a God idea. There's a lot of good ideas, but they're not all God ideas.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
I mean, what you said was really good. I heard a pastor say this, said, we, a lot of times we strive for something versus striding with God, right? I'm striving for something and I'm chasing after it. That just means my identity is wrong.
Mm,
Right. I heard somebody say it this weekend. If you're chasing money versus money following you, you're wrong. Right. Yeah, that means your identity isn't that of the person that you're trying to become. So you're chasing that person versus becoming the identity of the person, and the success comes right from there. Right. So I'm answering the call. The calling on my life has to do with the identity and what God called me to, versus the success, and what I'm trying to chase is the status, right? That reverts to it. So for me, am I going after the thing that God called me to, which only is going to lead to success anyway. All right. Because I am doing the thing. So I don't need to chase success. I need to chase purpose. I need to chase impact. I need to chase contribution, and success is going to follow, because the thing, who I become, is what brings the success, not the thing that I accomplish. Right. We hear it all the time. What is it? Earl Nightingale. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal, who you become. Right. The person that said, set out to be a teacher and became a teacher. She's successful, and she chased her. Now she just has to make sure that's within her calling, which is the children or whatever age group that is, right? And that's the thing that God placed in front of her, and that's where she's supposed to make her impact. Now she's successful, right? And doing those things. So for me, that's the difference. Is, am I chasing this because I want fame, because I want money, because I want status, because I want to keep up with the Joneses, or I want people to look at me a certain way. I want to be known as the guy on stage, or whatever the case may be. Or am I walking in my calling and my purpose? And whatever comes from that is a byproduct of me being who I'm supposed to be. That way, I eliminate the amount of arrogance, pride, and all the things that come, because I'm sure some stuff comes along with that, right? Once you get to a certain point, you gotta keep yourself humble. You know what I mean? Especially when you get to the millions upon millions of followers and all of that, and you can buy whatever you want at any given time. You got enough money to end somebody if you needed to.
yeah.
You have to keep yourself humble when it comes to that. And that's based on your identity, who you called to be. So I think that's the difference, in my opinion. For me, that's how I go through that.
And I think that I just thought of this, is that the successful realization of a worthy ideal, there's also a point that God will give us more, because God is a growing God. So oftentimes, if we're like, we've successfully realized the worthy ideal, we stop seeking the successful realization of the worthy ideal. So then, no, now we're choosing to tell God, I am not going to continue on,
Mm,
as if, and again, it may be, God, and I think that the hard part is that, if, let's say, a teacher teaches for 40 years and they're constantly complaining of it,
mm,
they're now out of their alignment. So God can give them another moment, right? Which again, I think a lot of would have to change in society to be able to have a rotation of teachers. Oftentimes, and this is something that I've been telling a lot of people that I believe, God's time is normally sooner than we want it. We are often just putting the roadblocks and the distraction away from letting God time to happen, right?
mm,
So and again, that doesn't mean that anything happens quick, but oftentimes we're the ones taking the wandering path instead of just the path to God, right? Like, I mean, we could argue that Jesus saved the entire mankind in 3 years, right? If he could save the entire mankind in 3 years, like, what couldn't you do anything in 3 years, right? theoretically possible, right? So, um, yeah, is really good. Faith-driven leadership. So, w- where do you think most people separate their faith and their work, and why does that end badly?
Yeah, think we do that because a lot of times we think that our work is our source versus the resource used.
Mm,
It can be in purpose, right? So I believe we're supposed to be in every industry as Christians, as believers, as kingdom people, whatever it is, we're supposed to be in every industry. That doesn't mean that you get to you need to be full-time vocation in ministry or whatever the case may be in order to do ministry. My humble opinion, ministry is really outside of the four walls, but that's just me. I think the church is made to equip people to go do the work of the ministry. But that's Bible, whatever. Doesn't matter. But I think people they separate the two because we don't see God as directly a part of the work that we're doing,
we don't
right?
see God as part of the director of the work that we're doing. Okay.
Yeah. So like if I'm an engineer and I'm working on bridges I I'm building the new highway for whatever city. I don't see that as the Lord's work. I see that as me trying to just you know what I'm saying versus hey man, I am a kingdom guy. I am part of, his thing. He called me to this particular thing and I'm gonna let my his light shine through me by doing this work, right? And maybe I get the designs, I get the ideas, I get all of the things from him in order for me to build this roadway system, this highway system that flows freely and smoothly for the next 40 years, and they don't have to redo it because he thought he gave me something. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't view it in that way. I don't think that it's helping people in a way that one causes less traffic, accidents. People can get place. Need to get faster. Now they get more time with their families. They get more time to be able to get to work and get to church and get here, can reach more people. You know what I mean? Like we don't view it in a way unless we say, man, this is ministry for me to be called. I'm called to men. I'm called to women. I'm called to children. I'm called to this. Right? Unless we see it that way, that's why we separate it. And in my opinion, to go
Yeah.
from even being in the military. Some people, it depends on what you do, and we know people in this space that when things go bump in the night, they're the thing that go bump in the night, right? You know those people, right? They're the ones that live literally life and death feel like life and death is in their hands. They can, disappear you really quick, end up in your house with the alarm still on, and you don't even know how they got in. Like insane. So they end up thinking sometimes they think that they're God, right? Versus the work that they do to protect families and do whatever they're doing and protect the country and the nations and all of that is a work of God through them, right? And they're able to make impact in a way. So I just think that we separate the two so much, man. We shouldn't. So that's what I think. That's my answer.
Yeah, and I think that to what you said is that if we the and I the reality is that it really comes down to just thinking about it, right? It's like God, the actions I'm taking today are for you, right? And the actions I took today were for you, right? And if
Right.
we can just do that, assuming it comes from the right heart, it will be true, right? Because God is putting us in that path, right? And the men and women that have to go and end lives is part of their godly path, right? They've for whatever reason, they ended up in that profession and they're not doing it out of their own volition. So they're following an order. So, I mean, whether somebody, they end 1,000 lives, it's on their described path. So that's okay, right? But then we have to be telling ourselves this is for God and it was for God and these actions are within God's plan. Like if not, you and I would have been given this opportunity, right? The
Right.
opportunity we have, right? So it's like every success is his. And I think that we have to, I mean, that keeps us humble, right? That it's not you and I are succeeding because we're good, right? I mean, we're succeeding only because we're aligned.
Sure. Yeah.
That's it. It's like we are putting that God in this business, God in that plan.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, that's good. Like you mean speaking of alignment, right? What does it look like when someone delays obedience for a better moment, right? They keep delaying for a better moment. Like, for instance, we meet people all the time. It's like, man, I've been praying for something, praying for something, praying for something. And then that something comes up and they're like, I need to wait. I need to wait. Maybe something's better down the line. And what does that look like? Why do people do
and
that?
I think they're looking for confirmation,
Mm,
right? It's like the old saying, it's like, God, send me a ship, send me from this island. And
yeah.
then they sends the resources and they're like, I sent you all these resources. It's like, we ask for money and we ask for money, we ask for time, we ask for our kids' health. And God is like, here's an opportunity for you to make the money that will give you the time to purchase the health, right? Because what you cannot buy, we cannot buy health. We can buy quality doctors, access to information, whatever. All of that has a price. So obviously, it may not be the solution, but I mean, it could be the solution. So it thinks people are just looking to get confirmation, right? Is not just, and that is the acceptance of the gut instinct, which is the Holy Spirit speaking to us. It's like, go, right? And if it's good and if it doesn't take you towards sin, oftentimes more people just need to say yes more often until you start figuring out what's in your path.
Yeah.
Because already was presented. God is not, I mean, the amount of people that can say that they can audibly hear God is few and far between, you know? I don't even think a single person that has audibly heard God audibly hears God all the time,
Sure. Yeah.
you know?
What's interesting about that is when even when in Bible when Jesus got baptized and the sky cracked open and people heard, "This is my son whom I'm well pleased." Other people heard him speak. Other people heard thunder.
Mm.
Right. So, what frequency are you tuned into in order to hear that anyway? Right? Because who's to say that God isn't speaking audibly, but you're just not in the right frequency. You're not in tune with him. You're not looking for his voice or whatever the case may be. To your point. So, I apologize for interrupting, but that's good.
No, that's good, man. And I think that I just read something that and I just heard something at church, and I think that this plays into the having God in our day to day in our business. Oh, that's what it is. I just memorized it. So God doesn't need our ability; He needs our availability,
Availability.
right? And it's like oftentimes people are like, "Oh, I'm not ready. It's not the right time." It's like you're not. It's never the right time. The right time is now, right? You know, there was never a right time for Moses to walk out of Israel,
Yeah.
Egypt. There was never a right time for Jesus to start the ministry. It was like, it's now, right? God
Yeah.
wants your availability. And when we call this now, and when we're seeking confirmation, we're often like delaying it. But then that's part of the thing that I realize is that how they say, to tie it a little bit, Think and Grow Rich, that to make a decision fast and change it slow. If you're walking with God, you're going to make a bunch of wrong decisions. Live with them. Eventually, if you're continuing to try that, you're going to be like, oh, that's not a good one. Oh, that is a good one. And then our instinct gets really in tune because we're more connected to the Holy Spirit, right? Which is not you and I getting better. We're just more aligned. And it's just like, boom, boom. And it just starts happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good because it made me think about when you said that even Jesus turned the water to wine, right? At that time, when his mom came to him, he was like, "It's not my time yet," and she kind of looked at him and was like, "Do it," and just looked at the guys and was like, "Do whatever he says do, because I know you can do it, whatever the time." And that's what that was the kickstart of it. He didn't even think it was time to start, and he did it anyway. Like, and she told him to do it anyway, right? So delay, don't delay those things, which is really good.
And it's crazy. You just said something, man. Jesus' mom was not God, but Jesus' mom persuaded God.
There you go.
Jesus got the confirmation through his mom from God. And that this is not a statement that Jesus wasn't as connected with God,
No,
right?
no, no, not at all.
Jesus was equally connected with God, but as in that moment, it had to come from a different source of availability. It was like, just do what he says. Or was it that a God changed his mind, right? It wasn't that he changed his mind. He was just like, this is it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That was the confirmation, right? No audible, like internal, like change of plans, right? That is so good.
It was part of the process, right? Which is super cool. And one of my favorite sayings, I heard a mentor of mine. She says this. She's like, "People always think that you guys have favoritism, but the difference is God favors the faithful, and He doesn't favorite. It's not favoritism." I'm like, man, you're available, right? And you make yourself available that way, and God shows favor to that. When you're available to God in all things, He gives favor to that. Right. So it seems like that's how sometimes you can seem like, man, this person always gets the things like, yes, but they're available to God. They're available. They say, Lord, use me. You know what I'm saying? There's a song, use me, Lord, to show yourself to, you know what I'm saying? Like my hands, my ears, my voice, my eyes, use them as you please. We say these words, but when God says, hey, I need to use you here, you're like, I don't really like talking to people. I'm comfortable with, man, that person doesn't know me. It's been plenty of times where I felt a yearning to tell somebody at a gas pump, hey man, God loves you. And I'm like, man, I don't know that God. What should I tell him? And then here it is. Yes, I wasn't available in that moment. So he couldn't even use me. Right.
Mm.
be able to do the thing. So it's so powerful what you said. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to be available to be able to use that. So it's so good, bro.
And to be in tune, right? Like that
100%.
Jesus was in tune, that in her whatever reason, because again, I'm not making any assumptions, that for some reason Jesus in that moment must have felt it wasn't right. But what was it in that moment that his mom was right and he changed his plan,
Yeah.
right? Which is crazy. And now that I'm thinking about this, I'm just like, man, there's so much depth to this of the impact of his godliness and his mother. Right? So either way, guys, there's ton here to talk about building with the kingdom. Obviously, there's a lot of talk right now about building businesses, building life with the kingdom. I think it's an exciting time because as pendulum swings, I feel we're very middle of the road in the view is um, that you can build great things with God, and it's really exciting. So, a few things for everybody: be accountable on the things that you don't want to be accountable, especially if it's sinful things, and if you're a dude and you're looking at half naked women on Instagram, just don't, right? They're gonna pop up. Man, I love this because I do it with Tanya. Whenever there's a hot girl pop up in my Instagram, I'm like, look at this. Why is this here? And she knows what I follow. She is equally like, why is that there? So
Yes.
it's like if you have that certainty that you can show it to your wife, and she is equally confused why the algorithm shoved that attack, that's when you're like, you're good because your feed should never be leading you to those simple things.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And you are going to get attacked. But when you get attacked, your partner should be like equally like, that's not it. That
Yeah.
is not you doing that. So have your accountability, build with your stewardship, and stop seeking confirmation and just seek God and do it. Right. Do you have any closing word for that, Mike?
No, man, and I'll say, make yourself available, right? That'd be the last thing I say. Make yourself available. Like we say, we want to change our life, and we've all seen a little meme. Real quick, I'll say it. I know we almost out of time, where it says, I want to change and I want change. Everybody's in the line where they want change, but nobody wants to change. And this is the thing. You got to be available. That's part of the change that you got to make is you have to be available to God. You got to be available to your calling. You got to be available to the thing that you're searching for. And man, your life will be powerful. So, man, this has been really good. We'll tell you, like, subscribe, alert, comment, pass it on to other people, all of the things. Man, we're grateful for every last person who's watching this, looking to grow. We're going to grow this thing and continue to do this every week to bring to you guys our lives where we are today. I can't wait to look back a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now and be like, man, look how far we grew. We weren't perfect. So we're literally sharing our lives where we are now. So love you guys.
Yeah. This is awesome. You guys have a good one, and let's do this.
This podcast is not financial advice, and it only represents the opinions of those participating. Our goal is to get you to your version of financial independence. Please follow and like on every platform.